Dinosaur writing part 2. Okay, I hope you're ready. So one of the first things I did was I created and highlighted on my paper, and I used the train format. So the only difference from the train format is that I included a title section, but if you remember from the train, we have an introduction, which is the woo woo, the engine. Then we have two boxcars, which contain details and information. And then we have a conclusion, which is the end of the train, which is the caboose. Okay. So you'll also notice that Mrs. Smith actually needed a little bit of extra space, so I printed 2 papers in order to complete my assignment. Now I measured, so I know that my writing is going to fit inside these squares. It might be easier for you to just start with, okay, I'm going to write my introductory sentence. Then I'm going to outline it in green to remind myself that's my introduction. And then when I do my boxcars or my detail sentences, maybe I just draw on the top yellow and then I write until I'm done and then I do a yellow. Okay, so let's do this together. Here's the little trick that Mrs. Smith has learned over many, many years of writing things for her teachers. Save the title for last. That's when you're the most invested in your story. That's when you're the most creative and you're so glad to be done that you're thinking to yourself, how can I really put this? It's like the cherry on top. That's why I made it red. Okay, so what we're going to do here is that we're going to remember that when we're writing, we start with an indent. Remember, an indent is a small space. When you're writing, it's about this much of your finger. So you would put your finger on your paper and you would do about this much for your indent. When you're typing, and if you wish to type, you certainly can. When you're typing, there's a tab button, T-A-B, it's right there on your keyboard, and if you hit the tab button, it shifts and indents 1 for you. So either way is fine with me. Now, when I was thinking about what story I was going to write, because I had to write my own story too in order to help you, I said to myself, I want to include the characters from the picture. I want to include prepositional phrases and prepositional words, and I want to include fiction and nonfiction. So fiction is fantasy. So I wanted it to be kind of fun because the dinosaurs in these pictures are a little silly and cartoony. So that tells me that fiction would be appropriate, and also nonfiction, which means I want to include real facts about dinosaurs. And that's what a really nice and neat author will do, is that they'll include silly things that dinosaurs wouldn't do, but they'll also include some nonfiction facts so that we can learn about those dinosaurs at the same time. Okay, so here in our first introduction, what I'd like you to do is to listen to my explanation and then try it on your own, okay? So you're going to pause me after I give you a little introduction, just like we would in class. Make sure you have your little green dictionary with you. Use the labeling paper to help you spell things. I don't care about spelling right now. I want you to get some thoughts on the paper. You have to try first grade. Just like in the classroom, I'm right here with you. Just like if we were there, I would tell you, you have to try if you want me to help you, right? Same thing now. Okay. So in this introductory sentence, it's 1 or 2 sentences. I want you to address the characters in your story, introduce them, and I want you to introduce the setting, where the story is taking place. My story is heavily influenced by the picture that we labeled together. So I am going to be talking about the things in the picture because that helps me to be centered around my story. So pause me now and show me 1 or 2 sentences that introduce the characters and the setting. You paused me, right? Okay. So here's what Mrs. Smith's story began. I wanted to start with names, and I wasn't feeling super creative, so I said, you know what? Dinosaurs kind of have interesting names to begin with. So I named my first dinosaur Stego, which is the Stegosaurus. I named my second dinosaur Ptero, and like pterodactyl, and ptero is cool because it actually starts with a capital P because it's a silent letter. And my last dinosaur, you probably guessed it, is Tricera. All right, so this is a list because it's a list, I used commas in between each of my words. If you're going to make a list, you might want to use commas. Now, at the end of your list, we always add an and then the final name. So I have Stego, Taro, and Tricera visited the unknown nest. So where did Mrs. Smith get this idea of an unknown nest? Well, because eggs generally come from nests. And it's unknown because there's no baby dinosaurs all around, so I can be kind of creative, and I'm pretending like they're calling it the unknown nest. Now, mine is going to want me to do capitals all the time, but I'm going to tell it no. All right. So the next part I need to talk about the setting, and so the setting, and so I'm going to say the nest was located under the palm trees, which we know to be true. So I'm doing my best here. It's getting kind of stuck. All right, I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to extend this out, and now trees fits. Okay, so I have my characters and I have my setting. You do not have to label exactly what I did. This is just an example of the characters and the setting. Maybe parents, in order to differentiate from what I did, you could have your child name their animals and then name the location. So it doesn't have to necessarily be called under the palm trees. Maybe it's called an oasis. One of the things that I might do is I might brainstorm with the kids what this location could be called where you have palm trees. They're probably not going to have these words in their head, so you have to feed them the words, and then you say, how can we make this into a sentence? Uh-oh, that's a loud lawnmower. Hold on one second. Well, the sound has stopped for now, so I'll keep going. All right, so my first boxcar is where I wish to introduce the problem. And I might want to introduce the feelings of the characters in the problem. We're thinking 1, 2, or 3 sentences here. So I need to use, probably need to fit in a prepositional word, and I need to think about a problem that could be there. Let me give you some examples. There's a whole egg and a cracked egg. There's a tall tree. Pterodactyl is by the tree above it. What could have happened there? How about, think about larger dinosaurs rumbling, rumbling, rumbling through cracked egg. So there's some of your examples. I want you to try to write your own sentences by pausing me now and then coming back to me. Did you pause me? I hope so. All right, so this is what happened in my story. I'm going to start with that indent. I hope you did too. If you didn't, one of the tricky things that we do is I'll erase that first word and I'll write it really small so that it kind of looks like I indented even though I didn't. And I forgot to say this in the beginning, but we remember that when we're writing first grade, we use neat handwriting, and we know that we do not write words as big as possible because then we just have to do it again. Imagine if I were there and I saw you doing these giant words, what would Mrs. Smith do? You already know. You spent a lot of time with me. All right, so in my mind, this is what happened in my story. One egg was cracked, which is true. Open. The second egg, think about what happened with the second egg, guys, was still whole. Still wants me to do capitals. Since dinosaurs come from eggs, who hatched? So that's kind of like their question. They're asking who hatched, and they're probably feeling very curious. So I could add another sentence that talks about why they're curious about that. Okay, so that's introducing the problem, and also writing, I also included a fact. And there aren't any prepositions in that boxcar, so I need to be careful with my next one, so I at least have a few prepositions included, which is part of the assignment. So now I'm going to go to my second, loud noises again. All right, we got to keep on going. There's a leaf blower, but I think he's moved further away, so we're okay for right now. All right, so now I'm going to move to my second boxcar. And in this one, we want to discuss how they solved the problem. So if Taro had knocked down all the eggs from the nest, maybe they're going to try to solve that problem by gathering up all those babies and trying to put them back in the nest. Is that really realistic? Probably not, but that's okay because it's part fiction. In my story, the problem is one egg was cracked open, but there's no baby that came from the egg. So here is what my characters did. Indent. They looked beside the cracked egg, under the palm trees, and Taro flew over the entire area. Uh-oh, gotta make it a little bigger. Area. Let's see what happened. No baby dinosaur. So they're probably feeling a little discouraged now because they're not able to find anything. But luckily, we're coming to the part of the story where I need to either solve the problem or not, and I need to provide a conclusion. So let's say that the problem was that a big dinosaur rumbled by and the nest fell. Maybe in this closing part, you tell me how they found the baby dinosaurs. Maybe you tell me how they lured the baby dinosaur back to the area. Think about how Peter and his friends lured the hamster back to the cage. Uh-oh, loud again. Oh, we're okay. Okay. So in my story, make sure you pause before you watch this part because you want to make sure you're doing your own. This is what happened lastly in mine. Lastly, the three friends looked at the intact egg. It was starting to hatch. Patiently, they waited. So now I have to go to my second page. Hold on one second. Here we go. Same paragraph, not going to indent. Out came Anne, and I'm adding this thing called an ellipsis. It's where you add these dots. And the reason why I'm doing that is because it adds a little bit of suspense for the reader. And are you curious about what came out first grade? It was an Argentinosaurus, the largest dinosaur to ever walk the earth. Remember that? Okay, I'm going to move this up a little bit. There we go. That should be a little bit easier to read. And with this baby hatching, the friends had a new buddy. Okay, so at the very end, I also gave you an example of how they felt about having that baby hatch. Okay, so you can see that I very quickly put together, very simple. Each one of these has 1 to 2 sentences, and what I did was I just tried to think about what's my problem, how are they going to solve it, how did they solve it. It does not have to be revolutionary. This is not a story that is totally new. I mean, I'm thinking back to stories that we've read, like Get the Bird, which is a story which talks about how these two friends are using binoculars and they see a baby bird fall and they know they can't touch the baby bird, so they go under with a net and they help it to go back. Now, Mrs. Smith has almost run out of time, so I'm going to quickly fill in my title for you. The title of my story is Where is Our New Friend? My title helps us to introduce to what my story will be about. Well, I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you gave your best effort. I can't wait to see some work evidence about these if you so choose, and I hope you and your dinosaur have a great day. Bye, guys.